Hello everyone, welcome back again to the YouTube channel. My name is Eunice and today I'm going to be attempting this overbust corset with a separate bustier. Now if you'd like to see the making of this particular style, please do well to hit the subscribe button and keep on watching. And now let's get on to the pattern drafting. So for this particular style, I want to be making use of African print fabric, also known as Ankara. Now I have my tape and scissors. The next thing I'm going to bring out is my pattern paper because this is a pattern drafting tutorial. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is create a starting line. Now this is going to help all of my lines to be straight. Now after doing that, I will start imputing all the horizontal lines. So I'll take my shoulder to nipple, which is 10 inches, my shoulder to underbust, which is 13.5, shoulder to half length, which is 17 inches, and then my full length, I'll be making use of what I have on the pattern paper. Now I'll go ahead to mark all of these lines again all through to the end of the pattern paper so as to get a straight line. Then I'll be connecting it with my straight ruler. All of the measurements will be listed at the description box, so do well to check it out. So the next thing I'm going to do is label all of the lines. So here is my shoulder, and then this is my bust point line, then my underbust, my half length, and then the full length of the blouse that I'm making. So what I will do next on the shoulder line, I'll take my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which gives me 8 inches. Now from that 8 inches point, I'll be coming down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant. And then I'll just go ahead to mark 3 inches for my neck width. Then I will be connecting the 1 inch I went down by on the shoulder line to meet with my neck width. Now this is how you get your shoulder slope. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take my armscye length. To get your armscye length, you divide your bust measurement into 6, then you add 1.5 inches. Now what I have is 8 inches for my armscye length. So aside the measurement, I'll also be adding all of these formulas on the description box. So on that armscye length, I took half of my shoulder on that point to get a straight line. Then I'll be connecting using my straight ruler just as you see me doing like so. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take my armscye curve. I'll divide what I have on the armscye length into 2, which gives me 4 inches. Now on that point, I'll come in by half an inch. And then on that chest line, which is the armscye line, I will take quarter of my bust measurements, which is 9.75. And then after marking that point there, I'll be connecting those 3 points you see. I will be using my arm curve ruler to get a fine curve. So now that we've gotten that, I'll divide my nipple to nipple measurement into 2. And then what I have on my nipple to nipple is 7.5 divided by 2 gives me 3.75. Now I'll mark that 3.75 from my armscye length, which is my chest line, down to my full length. Then I'll be connecting all the points together using my straight ruler. So next, after you've done that, on the underbust, you'll be taking 1 inch on both sides. And then I'll also do the same thing for the full length, take 1 inch on both sides of the line. Then after getting that point, I will be connecting it with my straight ruler. So now after doing this, I'll be connecting using my curved ruler or connect from the underbust to the nipple point. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take my overbust measurement length. So the overbust is, just as the name implies, above the bust area. So you measure yourself whichever length you're comfortable with. Mine is 7 inches. So I'll be marking 7 inches for my overbust. I'll just make a point there, and then I'll take my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2 on that overbust point, and then I'll just connect it straight down to the bust point. So then on the overbust line, on the center front, I'll be coming out by 0.75 inch, and then on the side front, I'll be coming out by 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead to rule out the line for the overbust so we can know what we are working with. Now, after getting those 2 points, like I said, the center front, I took 0.75, and then on the side front, I took 1 inch. Now, I'm going to be connecting those 2 points to meet with the bust points. So now that I've gotten this, on the overbust, I'll be coming down by 1 inch, and that is going to be for my sweetheart neckline. Then I'll connect from the 0.75 to meet with that 1 inch using my curved ruler, just as you see me doing like so. Now after doing that, I will be measuring what I have from my nipple point to the center front, which is my nipple to nipple of 3.75, and then I will mark that on the side part of the cup. So on the side part, I'll mark 3.75. I will just make it 4 inches because it's approximately 4 inches. And then after marking the 4 inches, I will come out again by 1 inch. So whatever you have as your center front, which is your nipple to nipple divided by 2, you will mark that at the side part and then add 1 inch. Now the reason is because the side part is more fuller. Your bust area on the side part is more fuller. So next I'll be connecting from my underbust to meet with that point that I marked using my curved ruler, and then I'll just take it straight to the armscye. So I'll just connect the other side of the cup with my curved ruler as shown. So this is how it's going to be. So the next thing I'm going to do now is take my body measurement. I already divided my bust measurement into 4. Now I'll be replacing the dart which is on the overbust. So the 1.75 on the overbust, I'll bring it onto the side. And then on the half length, I'll take my waist measurements divided by 4, which is 8 inches. And then I'll be replacing the 2 inches that I took there. Now on the full length, I'll be dividing my hip measurement into 4. My hip measurement into 4 gives me 10.75. And then I'll mark that 10.75 there. And then we took out 2 inches for the dart on the hemline, but I'll be replacing just 1 inch for the side parts. Reason is because the hip measurement will be too wide for the hemline if I replace the dart and I work with the normal hip measurements. You get? So now I'm going to be connecting the lines together as shown, and then I'll be adding my sewing allowance before I start taking my other darts. So I'm making use of 2 inches for my sewing allowance, and then I'll mark following the shape of the main measurements. Then I'll connect same way. So now the next thing I'm going to do is draw the style lines for this particular corset. Now you can go ahead to do any style line that you want, but because of this particular dress that I'm making, I'll be working with the exact style. So I'm not using any calculations. I'm just using my free hand to just draw out the lines. So after getting the style line with my pen, I'll be using my marker to make it visible so you all can see clearly. So now what I'm going to do next is take 1/4 inch for my snatching. Now this is just going to serve as my snatching. I don't want it to be very big. I'm just going to take 1/4 inch close to the lines of each of the style line. So now the next thing I'm going to do is draw the style line, which is the overbust on the upper parts. So I'm making use of my bust point, which is 10 inches. Now I'll just use my curved ruler to connect from my armscye to my bust point, just like so. Now you could choose to leave the curve to be this basic, but I'll just go ahead to take it a little bit on the other side to give it a little bit of style. Now if you look at the style, I'll put it up on the screen. It has a little bit of a curve and it is not actually straight. So then I'll just go ahead to blend it using my marker so you can see the curve very clearly. So now after getting the curve, I'll just extend the dart straight to the overbust line where the line stops. So if you're not going to make yours with your yoke, you just cut the upper part out of it. But for this particular tutorial, I'm making mine with a yoke. So I'll go ahead to just blend that overbust curve. Now after doing that, I'll go ahead to draw the style of yoke I want to make. Now the style of the yoke I'm making or I'm using is called a Queen Anne's yoke neckline. So before cutting my patterns, I'll go ahead to label. So I'll be labeling the upper parts, the yoke, and then this is a bra cup. Then I'll label all of the boning channels, number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the down part, 6 boning channel. So right now, I'll go ahead to cut out my front pattern. The first thing I'll be cutting out will be the yoke, and then I'll get another fresh pattern paper to trace out the bustier part. And then after tracing it out on another pattern paper, then I will go ahead to cut out the overbust area and then the boning channels. Now just stick with me while I cut. So guys, at this point, if you're yet to subscribe, please do well to subscribe. If you're finding this video interesting, do well to also drop a like and drop a nice comment under this video. So I'll keep the yoke aside and then I'll be tracing out the bustier part just like I said before. I'll be making use of this small pattern paper because it will just be the right size. So I'll pin it down to keep it in place and then I'll use my tracing wheel to trace out the curve following the lines. So it took quite some time to trace out the bustier, but here I have my bustier cup now. I will just go ahead to put arrows to label it so that I will not get mistaken when I want to start sewing. So after getting that separate bustier, the next thing we're going to be focusing on is the overbust. So I will be cutting out that part off, and here we have our overbust. So before cutting out the lines for the corset, so now guys, before I cut out the boning channels, I will be drawing a curve at the bottom. You can choose to leave yours like this, but because of this style that I'm making, it has a stylish curve at the bottom. So I will go ahead to draw out and sketch out that styling curve. So now after getting the curve, it's time to cut out the patterns. Just watch and see how I cut it. I've already added sewing allowance to it. I will not be replacing the darts that I took again, which is those 1/4 inch I took at the boning channels. So now go ahead to cut out my patterns. Remember to label before you cut out your patterns so you don't be confused when you want to start sewing. So this is my back pattern. I have gone ahead to draw out my shoulder line, my chest line, my half length, and then my full length. That's just the line that we're needing in the back pattern. So now I will divide what I have on my arm like into two, which is 4 inches. And then at the chest line, I'll take quarter of my bust measurements. Then after getting that point, I will use my curved ruler to connect from that half of the ham side to the bust point measurements. Then after getting that curve, I will just take it straight up to the shoulder slope. On the center back, I will take my nipple to nipple measurements, which is 3.75. I will just take 4 inches. Then I'll mark from the chest line down to my full length. So on the half length, I'll take half inch on both sides of the line, and then I'll connect that to my full length. So I'll just go ahead to just label the lines so you can understand what I'm saying. So the upper part is my armscye, then my half length, and also my full length. Now, like I said before, I took half inch on both sides of the line on the half length, and then I will mark the same half inch on both sides at the full length area. Then I'll be connecting the lines together to form my dots. And now I'll connect like so to meet with my armscye length. So next I'm going to do is just take my body measurements. I've marked my bust measurements. Then on the half length, I will take quarter of my waist measurements and then replace the 1 inch dart. And then on my full length, I will take quarter of my hip measurements. And I will not be replacing the darts. So I'll go ahead to connect the points together. So now I'll be adding my sewing allowance of 2 inches and I'll connect that together too. So basically what I'm going to do next is just to draft out my back yoke, and then I will also go ahead to take out my lacing back. So on the chest line, I'll take 1.5 inch, and then on the full length, I'll be taking 1 inch. Then I'll connect that together using my ruler. Then after doing that, I will just go ahead to just slant my back. So now after doing that, before cutting my pattern, I'll just label them, and then you can go ahead to draw out more style lines for the back depending on how you prefer it. Now all of this is not really the main focus of the video, but I'm just showing you how I draft my back pattern. So right now we've come to the end of this video. I will do well to post the next tutorial, which is the sewing content, as quickly as possible. Now guys, please do well to subscribe if you're yet to subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.